Edition of the Purple Rain podcast. It's going to be a tough one today. Right, as you guys know, this time last week we recorded two episodes on the Lansdowne project. We did one at the start of the week, which we managed to get published very quickly, and then we did one towards the end of the week, but unfortunately we ran out of time to get it published in time for the end of the week. It is now published, and I made sure to get it published before we did this episode. It is now up there. So you can go check our thoughts about that. The first one was basically about how we are hearing councillors and all are opposed to the project, and then the second one was about the PWHL's response to the project, because we knew that Jayna Hefford and Amy Scheer were going to be speaking at this council meeting that did take place at Ottawa October 29th, and there actually is a video of it. We can actually go and watch this podcast online. So on the actual YouTube channel of the Ottawa City Council, they made this meeting available to watch online. Now it's 10 hours long. Okay, it's 10 hours long, and over the weekend I watched the video, made notes, and that's what I'm going to do. I want to talk through the notes I made for you guys. Now, you can watch the video because I'm going to put a link to the meeting in the description below. But I'll give you the timestamps now that you're going to need. Okay. So it's 10 hours long. It's 10 hours long. So the PWHL's response starts at the 4:23:28 mark. And it finishes at the 5:41:16 mark. So it's about an hour and 20 minutes long. So yeah, it's well worth a watch if you're interested in this, particularly if you're an Ottawa Charge fan. And as I say, I did actually find that actually quite hard to watch, particularly the questions section, because a lot of these councillors just behaved like complete utter. Insert whatever swear words you like there, because a lot of them was like, had you even heard of us? Like, had you even bothered to actually do your research on not just the Ottawa Charge, but the professionals with hockey as a whole? I mean, it was just crazy, you know? Absolutely crazy how a lot of these questions were like, oh god. So, I'm quite surprised I didn't end up swearing through the night. I think maybe because I was doing note-taking, that's what made to hold me back. But if I was just watching it just for myself, the chances are F-bombs would have been thrown, things would have been launched across the room, and probably smashed. Yeah, because I probably thought, now I know I'm sort of thinking, hold on, this is not your team. Yes, by a point. But as you guys know, I'm not just a day one Frost supporter, I'm a day one advocate to the PWHL. And for me, when it comes to the PWHL, if one attack on one is an attack on all. So if one of our members is being attacked, then we're all being attacked. And if something is going to be affecting one of our members, it's going to affect all of our members. Because technically, right now, at this stage, Lansdowne 2.0 is only going to affect the Ottawa Charge. But that does not mean to say it won't then affect the rest of the league in down the line. It could affect all of us, okay? So, as you guys know, I'm an advocate for this league. That means I have to take a close interest in what's going on in all the teams' day-to-day lives, not just my Frost, okay? So just to make that very, very clear. And my advocacy work is about to go up a notch, because I feel like we are now in a position where, for me, it's all about awareness, education, and engagement. So awareness, making the people aware of who we are and that we exist. Education, educating people on our history. And then engagement is getting people involved in the PWHL, mainly by watching games. Because let's face it, guys, we're in year 3 now. There is no excuse not to watch at least one PWHL game. You've got no excuses. We are the most accessible league in all sports. So you've got zero excuses to not watch at least one PWHL game in your lives right now, okay? Yeah. So you're going to see that over the next couple of months that my advocacy is going to go up a notch. So just brace for that. Yeah, but I felt that both Jayna and Amy did brilliant jobs. They stood their ground, because let's face it, this council just took no prisoners. They stood their ground. They got their points across. They made it very, very clear why they were there. They made very sure to stress how much the PHL cares about Ottawa and wants to be in Ottawa. And I just felt they did a brilliant job. So, brilliant work. So, yeah. And I can't say their praises enough. Yeah, and because it was not an easy thing to have done. So, I'm going to read through how it's supposed to go work. So, we've broken it down into 3 parts. In fact, I'm recording each part separately. And obviously, you get it all combined in the post-production. So, in the first part of the show, you're going to hear my thoughts on Jayna Hefford's remarks. In the second part of the show, you're going to hear my thoughts on Amy Scheer's remarks. And in the final part of the show, you're going to hear my thoughts about the questions and how that went down. And that was when that's when my blood was really starting to boil. Because a lot of these questions were hypothetical. So questions that the PHL can't right now at this stage answer. Some of them are just basically being boneheaded. And just not showing any respect. And it just, it was getting to that point where I thought, if this goes on any longer, I'm going to lose it. I'm literally going to lose it. Yeah. So it's a real tough situation to do it. It's not a nice thing to have to deal with right now. It's the last thing the Ottawa Charge needs, especially as it's about to start year 3. It could be a good year for the Charge. They might be feeling quite good about themselves, given how obviously they were World Cup finalists last year. They felt easily could have won the World Cup last year, and I'm not gonna say otherwise, because we the Pebble Trio know that second cup we won, that easily could have been ours. So we're not gonna. So if they want to say we could have won the World Cup last year, I'm not gonna rebuff them. I'm not gonna do that, because you could have easily could have. The fact that Gray Fitz won the long cost playoff MVP award pretty much proves it. So if all the fans want to say that throughout the season, there are, I won't stop you, because you probably will feel like that. Yeah. So tell you what, let's take a quick pause. Let's go and take a quick pause, and then when we come back, we'll get started. Okay. Hefford, when she got to speak, she never got that many notes down from her side, because the council pretty much kept reminding her about how much time allotted she had, and yet when Amy went to speak, they didn't really do that with her. So I've got more notes down from Amy's session than I did with Jayna. But we'll go anyway. So Jayna Hefford was first up, and she mentioned how she played a huge role in nominating Ottawa to become one of the charter members in the inaugural season of the Professional Hockey League, and quotes the Charge's hurdler, and also the night their fans booed Marie-Philippe Poulin when they faced the Victoria shootout game. So players mentioned it time and time again on the show that how Ottawa was always seen as a big gamble. We didn't know if Ottawa was going to work or not in the PHL. Especially those other markets like Quebec and Halifax, Hamilton, that could have worked in Canada, for example. But the league chose Ottawa, and the gamble did pay off. And you see it from the fans. And we're going to talk more about them later on. But the fans, they play a huge role in Ottawa. And she also expressed disappointment in having to speak at this meeting to fight for something they care about, and states that the project would result in the smallest arena in the PWHL, with capacity being the main concern. Because obviously capacity is the big issue here. if this project was to go ahead, it would see the smallest ever arena in the PWHL in terms of seats, because obviously it's 5,500 per seats, and that's what we, the PWHL, are looking at, not the overall capacity, because the council say there've been above 1,000 at least for standing, but of course that does not work in the PWHL. Trust me, I know. I've got experience. We can come back to that later on. And the final remarks I got from Jayna is the PWHL is committed to growing the women's game in hockey and believes in the city of Ottawa and wants to see the game continue to grow and wants there to be a state-of-the-art arena where Charge players can play and their fans can come out in their droves. Yeah. So try to make it very, very clear, that we are committed to growing the game. We believe in Ottawa. We want to be in Ottawa, and we hope that obviously, we can work something out here. So the PWHL makes it very, very clear that there are very winning parts in this. They will negotiate in good faith, but obviously the day is obviously down to Ottawa to decide what's best for Ottawa. And I think Jayna did a very good job in the opening remarks there to make that very clear. Who we are, why we're here, and our beliefs in Ottawa. So I think she did a very good job there. I think we could have got more out of Jayna if the council didn't reprimand her for tie allowance. And yet we didn't have that with Amy, which we're about to go on to. But I felt Jayna was getting started. And in fact, I remember if you remember rightly in the session, she does get cut off. I didn't think how much time. It's a classic thing that they always do in these council sessions of America. And they're always trying to reprimand people on that's time. But of course, you're just making it up. It's like the Tracers. We know those missions are never done bang on time. What are you trying to say? Don't try and fool me, Claudia. But I kind of felt Jayna could have spoken a bit more there if, the council didn't sort of skew her time a bit. But I think she did a very good opening. Okay, so we're now going to move on to Amy and her remarks, and I feel like Amy Scheer really just was on fire here, particularly in some of when she talked about the arena specifics, which we're going to go on to in a moment. But I thought she did really great here. I mean, it was absolutely brilliant. So she makes it very clear that the PHI is here to set the record straight on how they're here at the meeting, and it makes it very clear the PHL are good partners for both the game and community. There's been a lot of, as we saw in the articles of the 2 episodes that we previously did, what we recorded last week, I should say, there's a lot of hearsay, he said, she said about, who knew what at when. So the PHL are very clear in this meeting, they're here to set the record straight. I think they did a very good job of it. And she also mentioned that the teacher has worked hard by showing up to every event with regards to the project and negotiate in good faith with OSCG, who of course own the buildings. In every conversation, the league was told capacity will be discussed at a later stage, and if they did not support the project in its current proposal, that it would not move through this phase. They were not contacted by either OSCG or the mayor about capacity. Wow. So capacity has been the main big issue here. We know it's been the main issue. And the PHL were told, by mayor, by OSCG, we will come back to that later. We hear you. And then they don't contact the PHL at all. That is bad. That's bad. That is bad business on our side. Okay, because the PHL has been in good faith in every step of the way, and that's bad on our side. The mayor didn't even bother to contact. And of course, we've seen a lot of comments from the mayor over the last few weeks, and he's not been very kind about the PHL, has he? He's almost like he's doing everything he possibly can to drive our league out of Ottawa, And we don't want that. We want to be in Ottawa. But do you want us to be in Ottawa? That's the question I think Ottawa needs to ask ourselves right now. Do you want us in Ottawa? Because we want to be in Ottawa, but do you? That's the question you're going to need to ask Ottawa right now. And the PWHL says it supports the project, so they support getting a new arena built, but they do not agree with the proposed capacity as it impacts, and I think should bring to state how it impacts it. It impacts ticket sales, it impacts merchandise sales, it impacts partnerships, it also impacts food concessions, and the less tickets you can sell means the less revenue that you would bring in. So really they're saying, right, here's how this project will affect this, affect that, and all that. Just brilliant work there. Absolutely brilliant work. And then this really hit me here. She also goes on to mention that most arenas are fit for men, but are too big for women. And I think that's, yeah, obviously, given how you look at the Frost and Sirens games in the last 2 years, we've seen decent crowd sizes, but not. But you just look at that and you think, yeah, those are too big for us. But where else could we go? And yet she goes on to say, by a cruel twist of fate, you have an arena proposal that is too small for women, but fits perfectly for the men. And says that this might be the disappointing thing she's seen in her year, in all her years. Oh, wow, that's bad. When someone pulls that card out, you know it's bad. You know it is bad. Yeah. So I mean, TV place right now, it's fine for the men, but it's probably maybe a bit too big for the women. But this new proposal for Lansdowne, it would be perfect for the men's. It would be too small for the women's. And it's the Charge who are going to be impacted more by Lansdowne 2.0 than the 67s. And we're going to come on to that in a moment. So she references how the PWHL... Oh. Yeah, sorry, I need to go back a paragraph, sorry. So speaking of 6, I was going to bring them up now. So I almost skipped a paragraph there. So she also mentions how in 2 short years the PWHL has built a league that fills hockey arenas, yep, inspires fans, yep, and fuels civic pride, yep. And they've done it with one arm tied behind their backs. And mentions how the Charge don't get as many weekend games than the 67s, who are, let's just say the Ottawa 67s down there, they are the main tenants of the TD place, just in case you don't know that. But references they draw more than the 67s. And yeah, because one of those articles we saw on the Hockey News last week was how they mentioned how 67s averaging 3,000 per game, whereas you've got the Charge averaging 7,000 per game. So that's like, wow. So really, the Charge are what is giving TD Place profit right now, because 67s, they're doing nothing. I mean, how have you still got that team? If you're averaging 3,000 per game, and you've got this 8,000, 9,000 arena, you should be getting at least half of that. So 5,000 a night, not 3,000. Whereas the Charge, they've only been here for 2 years, soon to be 3, and they are blowing it out of the water, and yet you're doing nothing to help them. And I think more weekend games will be better for the Charge because you'd see more sellouts of organisations, because that's the city, just packs it. Right, now we're going to get back to the paragraph that I did before, which I actually skipped over that one about the Charge 67s. So she represents how the PWHL is growing at a rapid pace, with more expansion coming, and that they love the city of Ottawa, and that they want to stay in Ottawa, but recognises that's not up to the PWHL, and it hopes the city can believe in the value of women just as much as the PWHL does. Now, I did try to say it's not up to us. It's up to the city, well, not the PHL could say, oh, that was felt striking. But they, just like Jayna Hefford did in her remarks, made it very, very clear, you know, we love the city of Ottawa, we believe in the city of Ottawa, we want to stay in the city of Ottawa, but ultimately it is down to you guys and the proposal that you put on the table. Yeah. So I thought Amy's remarks were a lot more striking and a lot more impactful than Jayna's were. Particularly when she talked about the whole, the arenas, how they're normally right for the men, but they're too big for it. It's kind of like the Goylocks thing, isn't it? You know, this, which I won't go into, you know what I mean, but I won't go into that. And interesting, this proposal with Landstar 000, it's 567s, but it's going to be too small for the Ottawa Charge, and it's going to impact the Ottawa Charge more than it will impact the Ottawa 67s, who... Now, I've never heard of the Ottawa 67s until being involved with the PWHL, because obviously they are the main primary tenants of that building. But I personally don't believe, based on what I perceive in these numbers in the last week, I don't think the 67s really deserve this new arena. It should be for the Charge. I think really, with Landstar 2.0, you should build it in mind for the Ottawa Charge, and then the 67s can be a secondary tenant. Because if you're already averaging 3,000 per game, then I don't think you deserve a 5,000 seater. I think you should be basically going elsewhere, and let the Charge have a 7,000, 8,000 seater arena built for them, and you can just use it if you like. Yeah, but I thought Amy's remarks there were really, really, really powerful, and it just showed that both of them, they're not taking, they're serious here. They are not taking any punches, which is good, given what we're about to move on to, because obviously we didn't have the questioning, which that made my blood boil watching that. So going up to the moment. But I thought Amy did really well there, and I felt she really honed it in. Okay, so after obviously both Jayna and Amy spoke, they then faced questioning from the council. And this segment made my blood boil, because all these councillors just basically proved what bonehead, useless pieces of tools they were. A lot of the questions they asked really made my blood boil. Some of them were irrelevant. Like, one of them asked about the capacities in the upper arenas in the PHL. I'm like, that's not relevant. We're not talking about those barns, we're talking about Ottawa. And some of them couldn't let go that the owner of the PHL is an American billionaire. I'm like, how's that relevant? And they kept going, well, you're being a total, I'm being a... Like, what? How is this relevant? That's not relevant at all. Okay, and... No, I found really irritating. Every time one of the councillors then started questioning, like, oh, I love you, I'm a child, I bet he's all there. I'm like, oh, no, no. Let's cut the crap. Cut the crap. You're just saying that so you can get on our nice side, so that you can then just file any abuse and questions that you want. So just not cut that crap. Cut that crap out. I always find it so irritating if someone says that, oh, yeah, I know that team. I know that. I've been a couple of games and I've got seen it. I'm like, really? Are you really? Because one of them didn't even get the Ottawa Charge's home opener right. One of them said it was November the 23rd, and the other went, no, it's November 22nd actually. And I'm like, come on! Are we in the playground? Are we really being 5-year-olds in the playground here? This is not primary school. Come on, cut this crap out. So, the questioning really got on my last nerve, and at various points the recording wasn't up to scratch. So the first 3 rounds were the main bulk of the questioning. Then after the 3rd round, it was then basically all the other councillors just asked a quick question each. And So what I've done with the questioning is I've covered the first 3 rounds in bulk, and then after that, some of the highlights I found interesting from the questioning. Okay. So, yeah. Luckily for these counsellors, I was too busy focusing on the responses to get your names. I did one after that, when the second counsellor was being a real bonehead. I thought, should I put their names down? Therefore, no, best not. Let's not give them free airtime, shall we? Especially if they vote this through. And then put us in an unfortunate detriment. Right. So the first round of questioning, it was regards to their concerns. And they were told to support the project or it wouldn't get past this phase. And the PWHL was specifically told the capacity issue would be discussed at a later date. And as the PWHL was the new kids on the block, they gave their support. Now, I think that's just so bad of Ottawa to basically take this brand new league, take advantage of this brand new league and basically say, right, you're brand new, just say yes to this and then we'll come back to your issues later. I think that's really bad of Ottawa. That's not good negotiating. That's not negotiating in good faith here. That really isn't. That's really irritating. They were also asked about projections for the Charge ticket sales, and the response to the league was they say sales are going up by 20% per year, and they believe that for the 25-26 season, so that's this season coming up in just a few weeks' time, they're averaging 7,000 fans in attendance per game. And then as for years after that, it all depends on schedules. Because obviously we don't know how many more teams are going to come next year. We don't know if we're going to maybe get some more games next year. I mean, we could potentially get some more. I mean, we, the Power Tripoli, you can now up the number of games. Because obviously, by moving the World Championships from April to November, you've more opportunity, more availability open to you. Of course, obviously, scheduling, CPAs. What's expansion? I think we are now believing that there's going to definitely be at least 2 more teams this next year. And this meeting pretty much almost but confirmed that, but that is brought another time. Now, this question really struck me here. Because when asked if the Charge were given a stark choice between a 5,500 seat arena, so basically Lansdowne 2.0, or the existing TD Place, the league's response would be the current arena and its current capacity. And in a follow-up question, mentions that they're in the final year of the lease with OSCG. Now that struck me on both sides. Firstly, the fact that they said we'd rather stay in TD Place. Because TD Place, we know, is an aging building. It could do with definitely could do with repairs. But the league says they would rather stay in that because it's got the 8,000 capacity that you could get easily for Charge games. Whereas Landau 2.0 would only get you 5,000, 5,500. That struck me because I think mostly anybody asked in that position would say the new project, and then, but probably through gritted tea because they still have issues with it. But no, the league, the PWHL stood its ground and said no, we would happy to stay in TD Place because we feel that's better for the PWHL than it is than Landau 2.0. And I found it very interesting, also alarming, that this is the final year of their lease in OSCG with OSCG for TD Place. So, are we going to have to spend the entire year hearing back and forth conversations about, is there going to be a lease extension at TD Place? I mean, that's interesting. I don't know what's like with the rest of the teams of the PWHL, but that's alarming. And if I was a Charge fan, I would find that really, really alarming. Because you're about to go into your 3rd season, you are probably going to see a boost in attendance on the back of making the World Cup finals last season. You've got a high chance to potentially get back in those finals and maybe this time get the gold. We'll see. Obviously, they've got Griffiths, who's now going to be front and centre as a starter netminder this year compared to what was last year. That would be alarming to have that on your head. And of course, I've been in the Charge's positions. I know what it's like to have a recent dangling over your head, it does not end well. It just does not. So that really struck me down, that question. Okay, so that's the end of the first round. Yes, that's the end of the first round. So then on to the second round of questioning, and this was from a bonehead counsellor. It's like, she had no clue. It's like, did she do her homework? Because her first few questions were, okay, who owns the charge? PWHL. Who owns the PWHL? The Mark Water Group. I'm like, did she not do her homework? And then she also said she's a season holder at the charge. So like, seriously, bitch, did you not do your homework beforehand? I mean, I know we are a young league. We're only, we're about to enter our third season. But seriously, wouldn't you at least do your homework on the people who are going to be speaking at your council sessions? Answers on a postcard, please! Answers on a postcard. Anyway. Stupid bitch. Boneheaded counsellor. Boneheaded bitch. Clearly didn't do her research about the Ottawa Charge or the PWHL as a whole, or how it's run. And she also kept trying to paint the PWHL's presence at this meeting about money, which the league absolutely rebuffs with their attentions to get a seat. It's like, why is it always people's first thoughts is money? It's never about the money. We're not here about the money. We're here to make sure we can get our voices heard. That's what we're here. They also go further to state that the PWHL added Seattle and Vancouver this year, with 2 to 4 teams getting added next year, and that the PWHL is very much in growth mode right now, and that the current proposal would not work for the Charge in the long haul, and it isn't something anyone would sign up for. Yeah, so I will just reiterate that the PWHL, we are very much in the growth mode right now. The growth has been at a really fast pace, which has been both surprising and rewarding at the same time, and it has meant that we are able to get expansion more at a quicker rate and a more frequent rate. And I think those remarks in that meeting pretty much confirmed what I think we all were speculating in September, October, that there is definitely going to be more expansion next year. The question is it going to be 2 or 4 teams? My proposal would be, and I have got on the record saying this, but I'll reiterate again now. My proposal would be you add 2 teams in 26-27, that'll be this time next year, and then in 27-28 you add 2 more teams. That would get you to the 12 teams that the league would like to get before the CBA runs out in 2031. And then after 12, that's where you have to then think, right, do we still need to keep going at a more aggressive pace with the expansions, or can we now go at a more staggered pace? 12 might be maybe too few to go at a staggered pace. Maybe you get to 16, 20 maybe before you can look at a staggered pace. And there's definitely markets out there that would be interested in it. Yeah. So I just wanted to read that because obviously, yeah, it's been amazing to see the growth in the PWHL these last few years. I also be interested to have to mention how nobody would want that proposal. Because the last time is going to make the Charge and the PWHL lose money. And I think they said it's about $1 million per year. And of course, Plutter just was like, at that, jaw dropped. Was like, you couldn't believe it. Yeah. Dreadful. Oh, God. Right, so the final bit of questioning that I took focus on is the third round. It focused on how the PWHL were not given a seat at the table and the conflicting stories about when the league brought their concerns about the capacity issues with the vote on the project into the PWHL. Yeah, because the council were being very critical about how, you're only coming to us now, and yet we're going to vote on this in 5 days' time. But are they? Because I thought the vote was going to be November the 7th. Because this meeting took place on the 29th of October. We heard in an article on the Hockey News that it's going to be November the 7th ago, but they were saying, oh, no more in 5 days' time. Is that 5 business days' time? Does that then mean 30, 31, 3, 4? No, that still wouldn't work. So somebody's got their numbers mixed up, so I don't know who it is, but yeah. So they were kind of like, hey, why are you coming? So they basically trying to say, well, why are you coming with us now? And the PWHL was like, no, we've raised concerns about this since the very beginning. Okay? And there's been a lot of conflicting stories. It's been a lot of he said, she said, hearsay. So I love how in this questioning, the PWHL literally just puts the record straight and just makes it clear what the decision was. So, hold on. Pop that up in a minute. Okay. Right, so their response is the PWHL was contacted in April 2024 and had Jinsey Rose, who at the time was with the Ottawa Charge. I believe she's now moved on. I think it's one of the expansion teams that's got a hold on. Let's look it up. Give me 2 seconds. Let's just get the records correct. Hold on, I'm trying to find it here. It's now the Sirens. So she was originally with the Ottawa Charge at the time, but of course has now moved on to the New York Sirens. Okay. Let's get back to this questioning. So they had at the time they had Jinsey Rose come and be part of this part of the delegation. I might have gone with Emily Clark, but that's another matter. So Jinsey Rose came along where they were told not to worry about this and that there would be a conversation at a later date. In June, there was a follow-up conversation with the mayor where they made it clear they would be good partners in negotiations and it would not be done in the press. So the PWHL was never going to talk to the press. That is. Absolutely. Because why would you want to have those conversations be put in the press? Why would you want something like this being put out in the press? I mean, we here in the UK, our current Speaker of the House, Lindsay Hoyle, he makes a very big deal about he does not like government ministers leaking legislation, or news of impending legislation to the press, and he's had to reprimand MPs several times. A lot of it was done during the Tory government. We have had a few instances in the Labour government. No, but he never likes it when MPs have spoken to the press about legislation before they make it before making a statement in the House. He always likes the House to get updated first, then you go to the press. And the Tories, in their when they were in the last government, they did a lot of that, and it provided a lot of reprimands from Lindsay Hall, including their current leader. There was a very infamous moment when Kemi literally back-chatted at him and he was like, I'm not really that. It's like, who do you think you're speaking to, Secretary of State? Yeah. We have had war citizens in this current Labour government, but not as many as we had in the previous Tory government. Yeah, so, obviously, the PHL good there, saying, you know, we're not going to go to the press on this, we'll never say anything about this in the press. Good partnership there. Real good partnership. But the problem here is there's a lack of communication between the PHL and the Mayor's office, because as we saw what the Mayor did, that's when it got alarming. In fact, when the Mayor published went to the press, that's when the Public Freedom found out about this. Like, what is going on in Ottawa? And that's when we had to then start looking into this ourselves. Yeah, so speaking of which, it was only when the plans for Lansdowne 2.0 were finalised and revealed by the Mayor to the press did the PHL speak out and set the record straight. Various outlets said they were on board, which was the exact opposite, as they talked about capacity being a concern. They would not speak up to the press and only set the record straight when they were told this was final. I'm going to carry on before I do some more reactions to that. The PHL made it very clear that they did not know that the boat was going to take place or the date of the boat until they heard about it in the media. In rebuff to the council saying that this could be seen as a bad business decision and keeps the reminding they are only here to have a seat at the table and Ottawa will decide what's best for Ottawa. Yeah, so the PHL basically decided to say, no, this is not bad business. You're the ones who leaked this to the press. You're the ones who put this out to the press. We are here to set the record straight and to get that seat at the table that we have been basically denied. Because the Mayor has said nothing to us. OSCG has said nothing to us. So, and they made it very clear, you know, we won't have a voice, but at the end of the day, it's Ottawa who's going to do what's best for Ottawa. Ottawa's going to make the decision. So, very respectful. So the PHL is very respectful and mindful about that. They obviously would like a voice at the table, but at the end of the day, they're not going to be able to make. They can't make the decision for Ottawa. Ottawa's got to do it for them. Yeah. So typical politicians, they're the ones who are always responsible for why we can't have nice things. And I think the timing wasn't good either, because in one of those articles that we read, I think was it a long weekend that he released the plans. So when there was no opportunity for local councillors to basically, speak about this or speak against this. Yeah. So the Mayor's made it very clear that these proposals, they are final and they're not going to change them. Well, something's going to have to give, because this is not going to end well either way, as far as I'm concerned. And then after that, that's when we get to the fact that there's further questioning from various other councillors, but as I mentioned, the quality of the recording from Ottawa City Council, so this was on their actual YouTube channel, it wasn't great. And then most of the follow-up questions were basically hypothetical, so ones where the PHL just could not answer on. But there were a couple of other things I pointed out, which I'd like to go through now to finish off, before I start off the show. So, the PHL stresses that Ottawa is one of the best places to play in the PHL, and that's largely due to the Charge's loyal fan base, who play a huge part in making DD Place one of the most loudest and raucous places in the entire league. And that when it comes to capacity, they are only interested in the number of seats. And Jayna Hefford even goes on to mention that she's never seen someone stand at a hockey game in their life. Right, well, I'm going to mention that in a moment, but I'll come back to... Oh, yeah. So, I think it was on the follow-up video we did follow-up episode we did last week when we talked about how we had the league respond. So, wanted to say that Ottawa's got the best balance, but he couldn't do it, and I had to then basically say it for him. And that's when we got now to him, like, come on, why Why are you not going to be on the show if you can't say what you want to say? Yeah, but yeah, Ottawa has got one of the best band bases in the PWHL. I know I can't believe it's a Frost band, I'm admitting to that, but if you've watched any of Ottawa's games, then you know how loud TU players get. You know how raucous it gets, and that is non-stop. I know Big 12 fans will say, what about us? We're loud. Yeah, but as Lady pointed out, you only really get loud when the puck goes in your opponent's zone, when you think there's going to be an opportunity here to maybe create something for something to happen. You don't go full loud the whole game. You Big 12 fans kind of pick and choose when they want to raise the decimals. Whereas in Ottawa, it's non-stop loud from the start to get there. And we saw that not just in the World Cup playoffs, but we also saw it a lot in the regular season games when we were at Ottawa last year. It is a loud, raucous beat, and I will expect nothing less going into year 3. So I think that does make one of the best fan bases. Coming back to what Jayna said, I thought it was interesting how she said she's never seen somebody stand at a hockey game before. Well, clearly she's never been to England, has she? Because I've had to do it. I have had to do it quite a few times with my para hockey team, the Manchester Mayhem. We play our games at Planet Ice Widnes, and it's very hard actually to get ice time for para hockey in the UK, so we have to basically do with what we're given. And in fact, this past season we had one of the games. It was when we were hosting the Cardiff Huskies. The seating in Widnes was out of bounds. I don't know what was wrong, but we couldn't use the seats. So we basically had to stand around the rink, which is five spot at the rink, and just stand there and for the whole game. So I have done it. So I don't know what Jayna's seen, but I've done it. I have done it. I've had to do it quite a few times. I've done it. You know, I have stood for a hockey game. It isn't pleasant. It's not nice. But obviously, for para hockey, the periods are 5 minutes less than what your standard hockey is. In para hockey, you have 15-minute periods rather than the usual 20, and the intermissions are about 5 minutes. So it's fine. But when she said that, I thought, because I've done it. So yeah, that was a little critique. That's the only one critique I had there. It's like, really? Because I've done it. So yeah. They also do not want to raise the ticket prices and are mindful that people obviously need to pay taxes and the cost of living. And the league feels that raising ticket prices would mean a huge loss of revenue, and they want to make sure that people can look at the PHL as something they can do with the family or for a night out with friends. And the final thing I mention is the question of adding more games did come up. Which of course, as you guys have known, from day one has been a big sticking point for the Purple Trio. We of course have had numerous arguments. We're still having numerous arguments on what is the right number of games to go up to. That did get brought up in the session. And the league's response to that was, right now we are restricted by the current CBA. But as the league continues to grow, it is something that we can have a conversation about with the players. And I remember listening to that sports, I just went, stop the CBA! We need more games! I mean, the PHL season right now, it is too short, and the AHL season is too long. I think it's... This might be off topic, but I think it's ridiculous that this time next year, we're going to have 84 games in the AHL regular season. That's far too many. You do not need that many games, especially if you then have 4 rounds of best of 7 in your playoffs. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And if anybody thinks that Stanley Cup's going to get awarded mid-June again, forget it. You're going to be looking at end of June as your new handover date for the Stanley Cup. We've had it for, I don't know, the last 4 years now, maybe 5. But this is good. But this is now becoming a more recurring. Actually, no. 22, 23, 24, 25. Yeah, it's been the last 4 years. The last 4 Stanley Cups. It has been energy. It's been ridiculous. So get used to that, guys, because it's going to be. Whereas we currently right now, we only have 30 games. That's too short for us, and especially as our playoffs right now are just 2 rounds, a semi-final and the finals, and they're both best of 5s. We need more games in the PWHL. Period. Like, conversation. Period. Yeah. So that is, and especially if we're gonna be adding 4 teams within the next 2 seasons, then you're gonna need more, because 30 does not divide well into 11. It does not. If you look at 11 opponents in a 12-team league, it does not divide well either. I mean, it doesn't divide well for 7 opponents in a 18 league this year. Okay, so we're gonna need more games. You're gonna have to have that conversation, and more games means more opportunities to get more good dates for the charge, and that might help the situation a lot. But yeah, so good to see that got brought up. Because it's a question that I have, and that would be the question I would have raised. I'm not sure I like the response there, but because I can't wait, because I don't think I can wait until a CBA extension or a new CBA to get more games in. I feel like we need to get that should be an issue we should be having now. Okay, fine. This year we are in an Olympic year. Let's just do 30 games this year, but we are gonna be Olympic cycles once every 4 years. Okay, so we need to look at raising the right number of games to fit in these calendars with the whole Olympics and any other European tournaments that will be happening throughout the season. Yeah, and that is, I believe, that's everything I've got down on the questioning side. But that was really hard to watch. After both Jay and Amy made their remarks, for me, the rest of the video was like, I just can't watch this, because the council was just complete utter. Just insert whatever swear word you want, because I've got too many to read off, and a lot of them will get me cancelled. Just insert whatever swear word you like, just insert it there, and it's just like. Do none of you actually get the situation going on here? Do none of you could get it at all? This project is going to impact our league. It's going to impact all the members of our league. It's like, do none of you care? Because you didn't look like that in at all. So do none of you care? That's what I asked right now. Do none of you care less? No. But obviously with these kind of sessions, you always get this, and it always makes your blood boil. This is probably why I don't tend to watch these on a regular basis. I had to do it during the saga that I went through in Oakland with the A's. But I had to watch those council meetings, and it was just, and they all did make my blood boil, but for very different reasons, because they were more for show rather than, oh, we want to seriously grill here because we've got actual serious concerns. Yeah. I knew the questioning section was going to make my blood boil, but of course had to watch it anyways, because obviously I needed to take down the notes. Because obviously I wanted to do this episode today. Yeah, so that was there. But if you do want to watch the video in full, let me get a strong drink on standby, just in case, because you might need it. And I have it. We've made it through the end. Yeah, so that is just basically what I took away from that council session. I'm gonna put the link in the episode description for you guys to go and have a look at that. I gave you the timestamps at the start of the show, Because the overall video was about 10 hours long, and so I mean, as I was like, oh no, so I had to basically go and look up and see when does the PWHL come in, when do we finish. But yeah. So, my takeaway from that is, we were not listened to. I just felt that it was almost like they were doing a courtesy to let us come and speak, when it was clear they didn't really want us to speak, and they just were not interested in what we had to say. So, taking away from that, I just feel that our concerns were not listened to, and I do worry that this proposal, whatever the fuck it's going to get voted on now, because even I'm now confused. I'm now confused when's this vote happening. Even I'm now confused. I do worry they're going to vote this through. I'm not saying that it's definitely going to happen, but I'm worried that this is going to get voted through. It would not surprise me if they think, okay, yeah, we know people have got concerns, but we're going to vote it through, right? Because the mayor is pretty adamant he wants this run through. And mayors do, from time to time, use whatever political pressure they have to get their way. Not all the time. Not all mayors are like this. Andy Burnham, for example. Although he, the last few weeks, has now gone down in my estimations. But yeah, not all mayors have that, but it would not surprise me if, when this vote happens, it gets approved, and then it now puts us in a really difficult position, because what do we do? Because do we really know what's going to happen to TD Place? Where if this project gets approved, do we know what's going to happen there? I know. And of course, a bit like me, not thinking, well, why can't they move to Canadian Tire Centre? Well, I thought that, and apparently I've been told, nope, that's a non-starter. Because, I'll rinse it now. Because somebody in response to my thoughts about that did give me a little response. I'm going to read it now. So when I was saying, well, why can't I move to CTT? One person replied to me saying, nope. Saying it's not a move anyone would make from a business or a civility perspective. Public transit options take around 1.5 hours from downtown to CTT. And it also says there's a reason why the Sens have been trying to escape CTC for years. So there we go. So yeah. Yeah, there you go. So somebody did. So I feel like a lot of you, I had the thought of, well, why not just move to Canadian Tire Centre? Why not just part of the Sens? Like how we obviously share Grand Casino Arena with Minnesota Wild, the New York Sirens share Prudential Centre with the New Jersey Devils, Seattle, who are days away now from getting their name, but obviously we're recording this before that. They are going to be sharing Clyde Petro Arena with the Seattle Kraken. So you think, yeah, why not? Why can't the Charge step the theatres? And we know that last season, the Charge did play one game at Canadian Tire Centre. It was quite early in the season. It was against the Montreal Victoire, and that drew about 11,000. That's not shabby. That is absolutely not shabby. And I think, oh well, that's quite a good night out. That is not shabby at all. No, and I think we did suggest maybe if Lansdowne doesn't work out, maybe you should move to Canadian Tire Centre while this new arena for the Stairs is being built, and then when the Stairs got their new arena, maybe try and move in with them. That's what we kind of, as a purple tripping, could be a suggestion. It's a horrible time, and my heart just bleeds for the Charge right now, because I know what you guys are going through. I've been through this with baseball, and with the situation in Oakland. That, as you all know, that did not end pretty. That pretty much ended my relationship with Major League Baseball, and I'm pleased to say I'm no longer involved with Major League Baseball. My only baseball affiliations is the Pioneer League and the Oakland Ballers. Yeah, so I know what you guys are going through. It does mess with you. It really does. I mean, you try your best to focus on why you're there, the love of the game, your team, but it does eventually mess with your head, and it does infect you mentally. So, my heart really goes out to all the Charge right now, because I do know what you guys go through, and trust me, it's not pleasant, it's not pretty, and it's not easy to deal with. So I'm sending you all the love in the world right now, and I really hope that we can get this sorted, because if there's a league that I do not want to see relocation happen, it is the Professional Women's Hockey League. I do not want, in my lifetime, for any team that enters the league to then be on the threat of relocation. Because that is going to have the vultures, so all the misogynists, all our haters, they will then use that as, oh, it didn't work in da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But we can then go, no, it did work. It's just factors outside of our control made it impossible for us to work. Because right now, what's stopping Ottawa from thriving is their own politicians. It's their mayor, Mark Sutcliffe. It's their city council. That is what's stopping Ottawa from thriving right now in the PHL. And let's not forget, the Charge went to the World Cup finals last year and very easily could have won that cup. They did not make it easy for us last year. They did not. Okay? Us, for me personally, we all agree that World Cup that we got, our second cup, that easily could have been the Chargers. They did not make it easy for us. And of course, remember in Game 2, the Charge fans thought they were going to have a sweep. They thought they were going to take Game 2 and it would be an easy done deal. It would be a sweep. They didn't think they were going to have to come back to Ottawa. And that's why you never do the "We won the cup" chant until the game of when the cup is in the building. That's why you don't ever do that chant until you get to the scenario where the cup is actually in the building. That's when you can do the chant. Before that, no. That should be a curse. I think going forward in sports, if any team's fans does the "We won the cup" chant on a night where the cup's not in the building, then that's cursing your team. That should be a curse then put on your team. So, I don't want to say you jinx yourselves, Charge fans, but you jinxed yourselves. You did jinx yourselves. So, anyway. Look, I really pray that they can, because Ottawa is a really good market at the PHL, and it would be a real shame to lose it. But we all know who the blame will lie on if it does. Mark Sutcliffe and the City Council. Yeah. So obviously this boat is round the corner. I've got no clue now where it's going to be. I've honestly got no clue. We will, all three of us, we will reconvene when that boat has happened, and we'll give you an update on that boat, and we'll let you know our thoughts about the results bit. Charles and I might not be great, but we will come back. Because like I said, we were good. Like we have said on our two episodes we did last week, we made it very, very clear that, we recorded them both last week. One of them will be published this week along with this one. But when we recorded those two episodes last week, we made it very, very clear that every time there's an update, we will come back here and we'll update you guys, because obviously this is really important, because obviously this isn't just going to affect the Ottawa Charge, it's going to affect all of us. Yeah, so we're in time, and this is the last spin the Ottawa Charge needs as they're about to enter.